anyways, so
All right, we're live. We are live. You doing good, Zen?
yeah, doing good.
All
If
right, cool.
if my audio is a little buggy, let me know. I can hold my phone closer to my face or something like that. So in the comments for anyone listening, if I sound good, say nothing. But if you guys are having a hard time hearing me, speak up.
All right. Yeah, we can hear you well. Zen's driving right now, so he's multitasking. Just drive carefully, man. I wanted to go over the tweet that you put up on the main account or from your account, which account was it? Because I'm about to look it up.
It was the Gray 369, my personal one.
Okay, because we were talking about this on just a minute ago, and it's like I got some clarity on it. So I thought you guys might enjoy looking it over also. So I'll read it. Nobody can predict exactly what will happen with PulseChain. True. The Grays are analyzing how Hex performed against ETH in the last cycle, where Hex saw significant gains only after ETH surpassed its all-time high around February, March 2021. RH understands what drives success, and I believe a similar pattern may unfold. pTGC and UFO are better prepared than ever, and our system is built to capitalize on what's coming. If you're a Gray, congrats. Everything is falling into place. We are holding our deflationary self-custody tokens, earning APY just for holding and tied to a portfolio of highly undervalued assets. It feels like the secret sauce is about to be added.
Yeah, maybe we can hop over to the charts I was using was off of CoinGecko, I think, maybe CoinMarketCap.
Okay.
I think CoinGecko, because it gives a good full lifespan chart of ETH and it gives a good full lifespan chart of EHEX. And that's where I was kind of comparing the two, because I feel like what Richard did with Hex obviously was very successful, right? He was able to do a 10,000x. So what he did obviously worked. And if you've done something and it worked very, very well for you, I don't think you would adjust your plan too much. I'm sure there is some modifications, some stuff he's learned, and some stuff he's able to improve this time, just off of, this being the second cycle of him having his own tokens. But due to the success of Hex, I bet it will be very, very similar as far as strategy goes. So by studying last cycle and how Hex performed against ETH and when it performed against ETH, I think it's some valuable information.
Okay. Well, I'm pulling up Ethereum right now.
Go to the max chart.
Okay.
So what I was kind of looking at is in last cycle, what was the date that we completely went past the old all-time high, which we're actually pretty close to right now.
Yes.
In ETH for this cycle.
November 14th, 2021 was the previous all-time high in Ethereum.
I'm trying to look. Oh, not the all-time high, but when we passed the previous all-time high last cycle. So you see the cycle before, you can see on that chart very easily where that was, right? In roughly 2018, was it? If you go all the way back.
Oh, you wanted to go to the previous cycle.
So you're right there, and that's the all-time high. So if you kind of look across in the cycle, the next cycle, which was our last cycle, where did we kind of really pass that point?
Oh,
where we,
I see. It was, yeah, February 2021.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was talking about in that post is, hey, this is kind of where we are right now in ETH. We are currently tapping the old all-time high from last cycle, this cycle. And when did this happen last cycle? And then we can compare what Hex was doing at this exact moment. What did the chart look like? Was
Yeah.
that halfway through our
Right.
pump of hex? Was this prior to the pump of hex? And this can kind of give us an idea of where we are right now in hex or other RH tickers this cycle. Because I would predict he would do something very similar.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard that hex. I've heard this. The hex was one of the last to run, and so we expect it to be, perhaps one of the last runners this cycle. And and I think, just from I'm not a redneck, but if I had redneck sense, I'd be thinking like, okay, first cycle, I want glory. Okay, everybody's making money on these other chains. I want mine to run last, and everybody bring their money over into the last layer one to run for the bull cycle, and it just beat. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking.
I think he prefers his to run last because he's then getting all the attention once all the money is on chain, right? Like right now, retail still hasn't even like FOMO'd into crypto yet. And what Richard's done previously is, as retail is FOMOing into crypto, or after retail is FOMOing into crypto, he's making sure his assets are the big movers by kind of like suppressing it until it's time to go. And that's why I like looking at this hex chart at this time. Is, for me, if we go to the max time frame for hex, and you have to go to the hex on Ethereum, not the hex on PulseChain.
Oh, yes, of course. I thought I had that one. Let's find hex again. Oh yeah, it says hex. Okay, how do I find the hex on?
I just searched it. I searched hex, and then it's decently far at the bottom because they put a lot of other stuff before us.
Okay. It is not letting me scroll down. Is there a way I can search it? Ethereum. No.
Maybe, I think it says show more in green. I'm having a hard time seeing what's under hex PulseChain. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Let's try this one.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that must be. Let's see.
So now go on this chart to like, what we say, February 1st roughly is when ETH was passing its all-time high. So February 1st is roughly in ETH cycle where we are today. Like, we are just coming close to tapping the all-time highs of ETH last cycle. So
yeah, it's all the way back here, Xen. It's way before all of this.
Yeah, so that for me is a huge indicator. Is last cycle, Richard or whomever, or even just the natural adoption of hex, it completely took ETH to get into the all-time high territory till before hex even started to move.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like what Richard did worked so well, I don't see him adjusting that strategy for all of his tokens, right? For PulseChain, Hex, PulseX.
I agree.
So with ETH breaking into all-time territories, for me, that's going to be a big indicator that Hex and PulseX and Pulse should really start to move after that happens, which we haven't seen that yet. It's still, I think it kind of got like 3% away and then rejected a little bit. Today it's like 3% down, but we're still very, very close.
Right. So if we want pTGC and UFO to run, and we do, then we need Ethereum to go first. And it's already been making some really tremendous moves in the past week. I think it was 4,300 on Saturday, and it was like 4,800 yesterday. And that's a big move for just a few days. It's really refreshing to see Ethereum moving. It's been a long time.
Well, like, what I've seen what I think Richard does is when ETH starts to break its all-time highs, this starts getting the attention of retail, money starts flowing into risk on assets, ETH most likely will keep running. So what's happening is the doors to like the crypto mall, right, or risk on asset malls are opening, and the new users are coming in. And what Richard does in this point is he's got a store. He's got a store in this mall along with every other cryptocurrency and blockchain. But at this point, he kind of holds off on his marketing until the most ideal time. A lot of people waste their marketing.
Lost you for a minute.
Sorry, someone called me. Before the retail starts to walk into the mall.
They shoot all their ammo before the retail comes in.
Yeah, he holds all his ammo until everyone is actually inside the doors. And then that's when he starts to get everyone's attention.
Yeah. So what he's doing for marketing right now is nothing compared to what he'll likely be doing in due time. I agreed. He's marketing, but it's almost like a teaser for what perhaps coming.
Well, I don't even think he's marketing yet, right? Like we hear that the marketing is supposed to start in like 2 weeks or so, right? And that's kind of starting at the ideal time for what we believe is just the start of it. If there's more containers coming, it could be a 6-month marketing campaign along with possibly YouTube content, maybe some digital marketing stuff at the same time. If I had to guess, the green candles of PulseChain, Hex, PulseX, FOMO is going to definitely bring some streamers out of hiding. Not even that they're hiding, it's just there hasn't been much to talk about, so they're not streaming as much. But with green candles, they're most likely going to turn the camera back on and become a little bit more active, which then when people search up alt tokens, what's the best alt token to get into? These are like retail searches. PulseChain, PulseX, Hex most likely are going to be doing very well in the algorithm if we get some good momentum here.
Yes. Not to mention that, with green candles means people are making money. And sometimes those people's lives have been changed enough to where they can finally have time enough to start that YouTube channel that they wanted to start. And then what are they going to talk about? Whatever changed their life. They're going to talk about, the PulseChain, Richard Hart, pTGC and UFO, and all of those. And they're going to draw attention to the chain that way.
I completely agree. If a certain or has completely changed your life and you no longer have to go to your 9 to 5, you're now more financially free. You can actually now, I'm going through a dead zone most likely. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. This spot always usually breaks up. But
sure.
If people become financially free, even with pTGC and UFO, but financially free in general, they can then take some of that time and market pTGC, market UFO, market PulseChain, PulseX. If that's through just being active on Twitter, if that's talking to people in real life, because now they're not going to a 9 to 5, they're, I don't know, hanging out with their family at the park and stuff like that, and people are wondering why they're not at work anymore. Or they could be starting up a YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. Hex.fan says RH is going to, he says RH is going to pump us like crazy 6 to 12 months from now. We will be in another world. Look forward to it. So I want to talk about the drop in our ratio, because that's something that really excites me when we start moving up against PulseChain, pTGC in particular, and UFO. But, we were up at, just about maybe 3 weeks ago, we were at 20.6. Now we're down at 13.8. And that's a pretty significant decrease in the ratio against PulseChain. You there? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm
It's all
talking to myself. Yeah, one of the reasons I think that happened in general, for the most part, it's just community members taking a little bit of profits, right? If that's profits going to in real life stuff, like some of it I'm sure went off chain and they, maybe help pay for something or something like that. But I also think a little bit of it went into RH tokens just because people within pTGC are up, if it's a 5x, 2x, 3x, 10x, 20x, and they're seeing a little bit of a discount still on RH tickers still. So people have taken a little profits there back into RH tickers, especially the people that don't really fully understand that when RH tickers go up in price, it's going to drag up pTGC and UFO due to bonded liquidity. Not everyone in the protocol actually understands that. So they say, oh, wow, I'm up, since, let's say you've been in PulseChain for 2 years. Maybe you sacked for PulseChain. And you got into pTGC a year ago. Let's say you're up 10x or something like that. And you look at your PulseChain bag, and your PulseChain bag is actually still 50% down from what you even put in, right? Let's say you put in $10,000 and you're only sitting on $5,000 of PulseChain, and you're looking at your pTGC bag and you're like, oh, I'm 10x up here. Like, I will rotate a little bit into PulseChain and kind of refill that bag up. Not that that's the best decision in my opinion, because pTGC has proven over a long term to outperform, and rotating out of the thing that's outperforming the underperforming thing in most scenarios doesn't make sense, but this is like how mentally people think, and you have to understand that. So from the bottom, right, I like to look at the bottom of this microcycle, and we could pull this up on the pTGC chart against the dollar if you want.
Okay.
I would take it off the comparison. But you can kind of find the bottom, which was around June, I think, maybe earlier. Oh, no, April. Maybe it was April, right?
Yeah, like April 1st.
Okay. Yeah, so measure up from April 1st. April 1st was pretty much the bottom for pTGC in this microcycle. Not
Okay.
the all-time bottom, but from when we made the all-time high, and then we came down and consolidated, along with, you have to remember, ETH consolidated at this time, also PulseChain consolidated at this time, so we're all kind of moving in these microcycles together. But from this bottom, if you measure up to the top, I think we went on a 4x move.
Yes. It's 360%.
Okay, so pretty much almost a 5x move, because 400% is 5x.
True.
So pretty much pTGC went on a 5x move in a matter of a few months, which whenever you do a 5x move, there is people within profits. And if you compare the move that PulseChain did in that time, I think it was only a 2 to 3x move. And we can hop over to PulseChain if you want. Yeah.
And it was actually March 31st, by the way. That's when Ethereum bottomed on March 31st, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, everything's so correlated together. Like, a lot of people don't realize it's usually weeks or at least a month if within the same range. When ETH creates bottoms, PulseChain's usually close to creating bottoms, and also pTGC and UFO are close to creating bottoms. So if you're able to scoop the bottoms of ETH and the bottoms of Pulse in pTGC, you're usually coming close to getting the bottoms of pTGC. And then if you can kind of scrape near the highs too of ETH and PulseChain, those are usually somewhat close to the highs of pTGC. This last time pTGC actually ran for an extra month, I think. But for the most part, you're in a good range of, like, hey, when the market tops, the alts are very close to topping around that time period too. It's just all directly correlated, and that's why I always say, like, if you're looking to increase your position in pTGC and UFO, look at the things it's connected to and kind of ask yourself, is PulseChain undervalued? Is Hex undervalued? Is PulseX undervalued? If you think these things are undervalued, most likely pTGC is undervalued as well. because when value starts flowing into risk on assets like PulseChain, PulseX, Hex, it will also make its way to assets like pTGC and UFO, which then helps, increase pTGC and UFO, not only from the buy pressure specifically to pTGC and UFO, but also from the buy pressure that goes into the assets we're connected to.
Mm-hmm. So PulseChain is up 206% from the bottom on March 31st.
Okay, so pretty much a 3x. Yeah, so even though the ratio looks a little bit more down, it's kind of because we were outperforming Pulse. And like I said, I think a lot of users were kind of seeing a discount on PulseChain still, possibly up a little bit on pTGC, maybe just kind of topped off their PulseChain bags a little bit, maybe took some profits and played a little bit of speculating games. We had like a little meme season on PulseChain with some pump tires tokens, but the machine's still working great, right? And we'll find that floor again wherever that range is. If that's around right here, if it's a little lower, if it's a little higher, wherever that is, and then that's where we kind of build. And we do our buy and burns, we do our LP ads, we get new users in, people who want to hold a hyper deflationary asset that also pays APY. There's a lot of value in this. People like the idea of you hold one, you hold all. So I still don't think, even with the prices moving up on PulseChain, I don't think a lot of new users have actually landed on PulseChain yet. It's still a lot of the same money just circulating to different projects, and that's kind of been the big hurdle on PulseChain this whole time is they're kind of just rotating from RH cores to P copies to pTGC to pump tires tokens, but it's actually no real new money coming in. It's kind of just the money sloshing around. But I do believe in the near future there will actually be a massive inflow of value flowing into PulseChain to where there will be profit taking, especially for the people that have been here the last 2 years. It's not just pTGC and UFO, but just people who speculated on the blockchain before retail flowed into it. Like, these people will take profits, but what I believe will happen is the amount of retail and the amount of value flowing into PulseChain at this time will be so much more than even the profit takers wanting to leave. And what this is, and this is literally just, you can easily tell this by PLS's price going up. If PLS's price is going up, that means that the value flowing into PulseChain is more than the value flowing out of PulseChain. Well, PulseChain's been going down roughly for 2 years straight. So that means in the last 2 years, more value has been flowing out of PulseChain than it's been coming in. But I do think this is going to change, and then change rapidly too, to where there will be a big inflow of value into PulseChain. And that value is going to find sustainable assets to put itself in. I think it's going to find PulseX. I think it's going to find Hex. I think it's going to find pTGC. I think it's going to find UFO. And all these assets are connected together. Even if there's profit takers in Hex, even if there's profit takers in PulseX, even if there's profit takers in pTGC and UFO, the amount of inflow of value compared to the outflow should be so much greater in a bull market.
Yeah, I onboarded, well, a school teacher. She's the mother of one of my friends. Several months ago, back in April, I think it was, she handed me a couple $1,000. She said, "Can you get this into that crypto stuff you're doing?" Well, I gave her a run through pTGC and UFO yesterday for the first time on her laptop, and it kind of overwhelmed her. But she was very impressed with the price performance. I mean, she was really, really taken aback. I mean, very excited. She's like, because she more than doubled. I mean, after buying a wallet, all the onboarding expenses, the transferring here and this expense and all that. After all of that, she's, more than double what she put in, and she was really excited. William Dugan says, pTGC will be a top 25 coin this cycle. It's in the code. I like that. And I do believe we'll be in or near the top 25 by the top of this cycle, I believe. Xen Crypto Durgan asks, do you believe it's going to be harder for pTGC to get as many X's because the market cap is so much higher, or already has done so many X's? That's a fair question, and I'll go first. I would tend to agree that it's going to be more difficult to do X's from here because we have already done a number of X's. But I look forward to hearing your comments on this question.
Yeah. So one thing that you have to remember, this is why I don't think it's going to be difficult to do X's from here, is because we're built on a blockchain that has done pretty much 0 X's, right? So the X's for us to do against PulseChain, of course, are going to become more difficult, right? So our X's against PulseChain, we are getting bigger, right? So those X's will become more difficult. We will need more value coming into our system to give us the X's against PulseChain. But one thing that we haven't gotten to be exposed to yet is the blockchain we're built on actually going up in value. So actually receiving free X multiplier by the things we're connected to. And also what we haven't gotten to see yet that I think a lot of people aren't considering on PulseChain yet is actual value flowing into this blockchain. In the last 2 years, no new value has came here. Yeah, there's been a couple onboards here or there, but there's also been a ton of extracting going on. There's been a ton of value leaving this blockchain. But if PulseChain is successful, there's going to be an inflow of new users, new community members. Like, think back to Hex last cycle. If it was just the same people that were in Hex when Hex was before ETH went to its all-time highs, you know how we're looking at that in February 2021? If it was just all those same people, Hex would have never really gone up because there was no new value flowing in. But when ETH broke its all-time high last cycle and Hex started going up, onboarding was insane. Think about how many of the Hexicans that are here right now actually got onboarded throughout the last bull cycle. A lot of them actually bought at higher prices than we are right now.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Way higher prices.
Yeah, like even myself, like I think my first entry was around 1 cent, but I definitely had some DCAs higher, and then it got pretty high, and then I have DCAs that are back lower again, and then also some really great DCAs throughout this last bear market that I'm pretty stoked about. But my point of it is people keep forgetting that if this blockchain is successful, the amount of new users, the amount of new holders coming into PulseChain is going to get crazy. And we've yet to get to even experience tapping into a new user base this cycle. So I think this will actually help us do our X's over PulseChain because we'll actually have new users to tap into. But more importantly, I also think we'll do a lot of X's because of the fact that we have yet to receive X's from PulseChain, right? And this is a huge ingredient to our system that has yet to been added. Because if you increase PulseChain, let's give PulseChain like a remotely successful level. Like let's say it's 100x from here. What pTGC turns into, we technically get that 100x automatically. So that makes, with 0 inflow or outflow of value, right? We're saying, hey, no one's selling, but no one's buying. We just got that 100x, right? That's a good amount of X's. And, that's more than we've gotten so far. Pretty much PulseChain's lower than when even pTGC launched and UFO launched currently. But more importantly for our system, our liquidity is now 100x higher. So instead of a $20 million liquidity web, we now have a $2 billion liquidity web. That means we have $2 billion generating revenue for our holders. We have $2 billion put to work buying and burning our system. We have $2 billion adding LP to the protocol forever. So I definitely understand what he's saying. As we get bigger, it will get more difficult to do X's, but there still is a key ingredient that hasn't been added to the formula of pTGC yet, and that's the success of the blockchain. Yes. I do think what he's saying, after this blockchain does its easy X's, like that first 100x, I agree with what he's saying 100%. As the blockchain gets bigger and as we get bigger, it will become a lot more difficult for this protocol to do X's because it's going to evolve from a speculative asset, what it is today, into what I believe a premier store of value. And when it evolves from the speculative asset is today, does 100,000x, whatever it does, I don't know what it'll do, could do 0x's, right? Like it's a speculative asset. But if it does 100,000x and the liquidity gets to over 2 billion between the two protocols, it will become more similar to how Bitcoin and Ethereum are because it became so large. The retracements won't be as large and the pumps won't be as large, but it will be more sustainable as far as a store of value system. You'll have a hyper deflationary token. You have mechanics that help consistent price appreciation, and the asset's deflationary, and it has built-in APY. So we'll have a ton of product market fit there. The opportunity that presents itself, I think, is right now that you're able to get exposed to this asset before the blockchain revalues, before the value generation revalues, and before the liquidity revalues as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Music to my ears. Shaka Vibes and Backwards Hat Dad both agree with you. I baited that a little bit. I wanted to be conservative. And Shaka Vibe says, I disagree. More X's to come. The machine hasn't even been turned on. Backwards
yeah,
hat.
I do get what he's saying though, right? Like, and that mindset is developed because a lot of projects people compare to are projects on other blockchains. And we have to remind ourselves the successful projects on other blockchains are built on blockchains that have already done 100 to 1,000x. So they built their projects after the blockchain was successful. So they built their store in the city that was already thriving and already had the customers. What we're doing here is we're seeing value in this real estate. We know that there's a freeway about to be built right through this area, and we're looking at all this real estate and we say, hey, we know in a year this is all prime real estate, so we're going to build the store before the people come. And then what we believe is this blockchain successful and the people just flow in and we'll have the best spots in town. You know what? Like we have the main street front and center in front of everyone.
Yeah, man. We got that main street. I love it. So pTGC like technically did 78,000 X's. We talked about this on the stream on Spaces Monday night, 78,000 X's. And then if it did, can we get a little moon mathy? Because I figure some stuff out between then and now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
If it did a billion X from the bottom, it's already done 78,000. If it does a billion, as somebody hypothesized could happen, that would be a $16.93 pTGC. And so I was like, man, it's what's the market cap on a $17 pTGC? It would end up being, I want to say it was something like 6 trillion, something like that. But the total crypto market cap right now is like 4 trillion. So it comes down, for me, from my perspective, it comes down to one of those things. Is it possible? And possible or probable? One or the other. Well, it is technically possible, but is it probable? But if we do half of that or a tenth of that, that's where I'm still excited about falling short of a 1 billion X.
Yeah, we also have to remember where we are in crypto, right? Like this cycle could be extremely extended. We have more adoption in the cryptocurrency asset class than ever before. In the United States, we have a president who is finally getting behind this being a premier asset class, a place to store value. So I believe in the next 4 years, let's say by next cycle, or if these cycles are a little different, who knows? But let's say just as crypto evolves in the next 4, 5, 6 years, we have no idea what the market cap of crypto in general could actually become. To me, it's still very, very minor. We're just at the beginning stages of real adoption and real acceptance from governments, right? So yes, those kind of numbers, in my opinion, sound very large right now, but we're still in an asset class that is still getting adopted. Like technically we're on a blockchain that no one even knows exists. If Richard has some solid tricks up his sleeve, with adoption of ETH, with adoption of Bitcoin, which, you know, they've been getting pretty good adoption here and there, but very easily more value can be stored, and treasuries can be built out of these assets, and more adoption with payments out of these assets over time, you know, throughout these next 4 years could be like the internet boom. And we don't know what the overall crypto market cap could equal. And alongside with what tricks Richard has in store, or he has no tricks, right? I personally believe he has some tricks up his sleeve. That's why I built here. That's why I'm here in PulseChain. I think even what you're saying, like these numbers could get pretty crazy. I think we can't discount the fact that they can get crazy.
Mm-hmm. Throw your questions in the chat, guys, or any comments. Like there should be questions. I should have questions. Like where are the Grays right now? pTGC and UFO. Like where are we in the cycle? Yes, I mean, what else you want to talk about?
I wanted to for sure look into pTGC a little bit on this stream. I also wanted to maybe go over some of Richard's last tweets as well. Those were the couple of things I wanted to make sure we got to. So if we don't have anything else, let's hit those things.
Okay. Do you want to go into the burn section of look into, or do you want to do that another time? Like the burn token.
I'm not completely familiar what portion you're talking about, so maybe we should go into it.
Okay. Well, I will pull up look into pTGC. I'm logged in. Snowflake Society says PLS has 2.9 million in liquidity. Oh, you're talking to Polygon. There you go. Besides UFO. Yeah, pTGC and UFO are most thickly bonded with each other. Guys, just so you know, they're the biggest LP. I think it's 4 million plus. And then the next one is their bond with PLS. Okay, we're on the dashboards and look into pTGC. Xen, you're muted. You're muted, man. He might be busy. He might be in a dead zone, guy.
Sorry, I missed all that. People keep calling me. Could you repeat that?
Well, I was just saying that you were muted, but we're in look into pTGC. We're on the dashboard.
Cool. Yeah, so let's just start looking at what we've burnt to date, and then also what we've burnt in the last 24 hours. I know there's been no extreme buy and burns or anything like that in the last 24 hours, so that's probably not interesting, but we can see what the automated function has done on its own. I can't really see the small numbers.
Sure, I'll get them. We got we burned today 12.66% of the supply. In the last 24 hours, we burned 4,310,000 pTGC, and every single pTGC that goes to the burn address that's sent there will never ever receive another reflection or staking reward. I love that. So everyone that goes to the burn address causes the rest of us, for our principal inflates relative to the reducing supply. It's a brilliant system.
Yeah, okay. I'm excited to see what that compounds to over time. Like just what I know personally, and this is one thing I'm getting included on the new website that I'm looking on the stats page, where right now this shows us what we've bought and burnt in the last 24 hours, and then what it shows us what we've bought and burnt in existence. But it doesn't really show what we've bought and burnt in the last week or month or 6 months, right? So I'm getting those metrics added onto the new site I'm currently working on just for some extra stats, which will be cool. But What
Yeah.
I know is that what's been bought and burned in the last 6 months, I think is around $1 million, right? And what that technically is an investor. It's the killer whale, as I like to call it, who is literally buying $1 million of pTGC and just never going to sell it. So it's someone who's buying dips. It's someone who's buying tops. It's literally buying every single range, every single day for the rest of the existence of PulseChain. But that user will never sell the tokens ever.
Right.
What does that equal over a long period of time? What does that equal with a successful PulseChain, with new users coming in? I think it will get pretty extreme. Like even when the buy and burn, for an example, if right now we're at like 12.6%. Well, let's say there's no one in our community that takes extreme amounts of profits. Let's say everyone sees value in the system for what it's designed. They want to store value here. Yeah, they're taking some profits to better their life in real life, but for the most part, they're holding a very large chunk of their initial. They're getting paid their APY, they're living off of that. You have new users coming in, and let's say the buy and burn is just doing what it's doing. There's only 2% of supply even on the market for purchase. This asset is so scarce, and the contract itself is getting at that value every single day.
I wonder if the burning of pTGC will accelerate over time. Like outside
If volume
of this,
accelerates,
outside of volume.
if the price goes up, let's say 10x, and our volume goes up 10x, well, then we're going to be burning 10x. Are you having a hard time hearing me? I'm going through that hard spot again.
No, I heard you clearly. I mean, if we have a 10x in volume and a 10x in price, it would be an equal, amount that's burned, right?
Yeah, we'd be burning the same quantity of tokens, but 10x the dollar amount.
Yes.
Right. If volume increases faster than price, like let's say in this bull market, price is doing great. We're up 100x, but let's say volume on chain becomes 1,000x more. Like let's say volume just gets crazy on chain and our volume is increasing faster than our prices. Well, then our buy and burn will increase because the volume increased. We'll be generating more revenue. The buy and burn function would actually be buying higher quantity amounts. If volume doesn't keep up with price, it's going to be burning, a lower quantity of tokens, but most likely still a way higher dollar amount.
Okay. All right. We're still on the dashboard. What else do you want to look at? UFO?
Yeah. What was the value generation in the last 24 hours, just since we're here?
$14,290.
Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Oh, I was going to... Can we take a quick detour?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come right back. This is Secreto Bank. I like to, every now and again, I check it. Well, yesterday I used it on stream. There was $378,000 worth of volume. And what I'd like to do is I refresh it. And I'm guessing, and I'll take a guess. I'm guessing that volume is going to decrease a little bit. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, 267,000. Still not bad. $77,000 on UFO. I'm going to say it's probably about the same. Let's see. It went up 85,000. So that's just a fun experiment to do. Let's go back to the dashboard.
Yeah, we can real quick just look how those numbers compare against our averages since we're here. If you scroll up a little bit, Banana.
Okay.
You can see what the 7-day average is, the 30-day average. I can't see them because it's so small, so maybe you could run through those real quick.
7-day average on this is pTGC, was $280,000, and we did 267. We're at 267. It was 378 yesterday. The 30-day is $325,000. So we're under average for the last 30 days, but we had a big month last month. $176,000 for the 90-day, and we're above that. So There you have it.
Yeah, so currently our 7-day is higher than our 90-day, right?
Yes.
Our 30-day is higher than our 90-day, and our daily is higher than our 90 days. So we can actually see the system increasing against what the average was in the last 90 days, which is nice. That's a great sign of the market picking up. And this is what I recall the exact sign that we saw before the last huge move for pTGC, and also decent move for PulseChain in general too. Obviously, this time we're expecting a lot more than the price we got last move. But again, in general, we just are excited to see that the market's picking up. ETH is going close to its all-time highs. PulseChain is rising. pTGC in general is rising as well. And again, it's not a straight up rise. 20% positive moves. There's days where there's sell pressure. It's never going to be just straight up into the right, especially when you have a protocol which has done a lot of X's, but the overall trend has been exactly what we've been looking for.
Okay. Yep. Is the liquid pTGC pair a new pair? It's $2.3 million in liquidity right now.
No, those pairs have always been there. Those are the amplifiers that have just kind of been dragged around for the last year and a half with pTGC.
I thought there was a big burn pair also.
It's almost those pairs don't populate on Secreto Bank that often because they're very inactive. And inactive pairs don't get picked up because for two reasons they're inactive. The first reason is it's a Fion transaction token paired with a Fion transaction token. So arbitrage bots barely ever interact with those because the threshold has to get super high.
True.
But also just like no one really interacts with them because of the fact that we made them specifically for like arbitrage bots, and the arbitrage bots have a difficult time taking advantage of those pools due to the threshold being so high.
Okay, and because the total liquidity here at the bottom is only of the displayed tokens, I would assume you could actually add those. Yeah, you could add those tokens. So,
I even like subtracting them. Like I like subtracting those because those tokens, they do have liquidity, but it isn't a crazy amount of liquidity. So I like to even exclude them, to be honest with you. But we do need to include those tokens in supply. So that's one of the big reasons why the pTGC website shows less pooled tokens compared to Kong site, because Kong site does a lot better at picking up these inactive pairs than the pTGC site, and we're working on in fixing this as well. But it's because the pools are very inactive.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Quick pivot to answer Daniel Tellez's question. Any plans to reach out to big influencers? I'll go first then. We have reached out to big influencers, and we learned that most of them, I meant like big influencers, most of them want a fee, and we're just not interested.
Yeah, I'm trying to go, for the most part, the route of Richard is to just, hey, as a community, let's get so big that when they pull up their crypto bubbles, they're forced to say, what is this? Right? We want to get ourselves in the top 100 with massive green circles to where when they're just doing their normal TA and they're pulling up their thing, they're forced to say, what is this alien head that's just a massive green circle on my crypto bubbles right now? And what is this UFO that's massive on my crypto bubbles right now? Like, there is ways to be promoted or at least talked about by mainstream without having to just pay them to be a shield speak.
Yes. And then what do they do? Is that we want them to do, actually? They reach out to us instead.
Well, and if you actually become a premier store of value, like a system that's better than a lot of the store of values that exist, if this place is better to store value than some of the other traditional or other cryptocurrencies that exist, they might even start to buy it, right? And if they get skin in the game with their own money, they most likely are going to talk about it, because now they have an investment that they want to increase. And it's not an investment that they were given for free. It's an investment that they actually had to pay for. So they actually have skin in the game.
Yes, absolutely. Polygon says Sami recently propped us up for being up only. That was true. Saw that last week. That was good. He's on board a little bit. I like Sami. And not just for that reason either. I like Sami. Okay, we're down to UFO. And there aren't any updates for any of the burn metrics except for the 24-hour. We've burned 18.7 million UFO in the last 24 hours, $700 worth.
Yeah, UFO's code operates a little bit different than pTGC's. pTGC's fires very, very often for the burn, to where UFO's has a threshold that hits. And then that's why you see it usually just happening in big chunks like that, instead of in like $10 increments and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's the same with your yield, guys. If you're LPing, I'm not so sure if it's the same for the reflections, but in particular, like the LP yield, sometimes you'll go 24 hours. On a rare occasion, you'll go 24 hours without seeing any yield come into your wallet. And it's just because the contract has to wait till a threshold has been passed, and then it'll distribute all the yield to the holders. Good deal. Can you explain why there's only 2% supply for sale? How does that work and why? JD asked that. And there's actually, I was looking at this yesterday, I believe, Xen. And I think you can see the supply. I'm learning where to find this on the pTGC. If you select view charts, and I think it's more like 6 or 8%. Let's see. And then you select not price, but pooled tokens in LP. Then over here on the right, 8.7 billion. There are 8.7 billion tokens that can be purchased right now. The site, the chart on the site is not, it's only showing from a few different pools, like a couple different pools, I think. But look into is showing from all the different pools. Dan, didn't you want to make any comments on that?
Yeah, 8 billion tokens is only roughly 2.8% of the supply.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right.
Because it's 3.3 billion is pretty much 1% of the supply. So it's between 2 and 3% of the supply is even purchasable for pTGC. The pTGC website shows it even less than that, just because it's not picking up all the pairs, like I said. But yeah, pretty much there's only 2.5, 2.8, whatever that number is.
2.9.
2.9.
Yeah.
Percentage of the supply even for purchase for pTGC. And the reason is because it's a very, very scarce asset, right? Scarcity drives value. And since there isn't a lot to purchase, the only tokens that you can get at are the ones in the liquidity pool. And since a lot of our community doesn't want to give up their tokens for cheap, they just keep staking them, locking them, holding them in their wallet, or the debt address is just buying them and sending them to the debt address, making it even more scarce. So what this creates is the scenario, and we know this scenario works because it's been done for the last 1,000 years, is having scarce things drives value up. And since pTGC only has 2 to 3% of tokens in supply, the code buys more tokens every single day. You have pretty much a scenario where the rest of the world, because we believe marketing for PulseChain is about to start, the rest of the world has to get at only 2 to 3% of the supply. And they have to compete with all the existing PulseChain people, all the Gray people, people who specifically like the Grays or are heavy in the Grays. And more importantly, they have to compete with the pTGC code itself. They have to compete with the UFO code, and they also have to compete with the DAO. So it's a very scarce asset, and we believe scarcity of pTGC and UFO are going to be one of the biggest drivers to the success, because a lot of the holders, like if you study a lot of the top wallets, they're not budging. There's little profit taking here or there, right? Just like any token. But for the most part, it looks like they see value in this system very long term. They believe in the code for what it's designed to be, a store of value system, a place that the value today, let's say they have a bag that's worth $100,000, a decent bag of pTGC. With 100x, that $100,000 could be technically $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're earning APY on a $10 million bag, not a $100,000 bag. So even if they're just receiving, let's say, 2% APY, that's $200,000 a year in passive income while holding an asset that's hyper deflationary, and the tokens themselves are your miner, and those miners are becoming scarcer and scarcer every single day, making it to where your tokens mine more and more. Most mining systems, the miners that you have are getting diluted every single day by more supply coming out. But with this asset, it's designed in a way to where it can pay you an APY, but also keep the supply 100% deflationary, making the values that you're holding worth more and more over time. I don't know of a system that operates like that. So how that can expand out and how that could increase with adoption of PulseChain could get extreme, right? It could be crazy to where people might never even get an opportunity to even get close to a decent sized position compared to what opportunities in front of you today. Like dolphin positions, shark positions, they're still like, which they're expensive. I completely understand they're expensive, but valuable things are expensive. Good things are expensive. Like you can buy 100 rocks for $2, or you can buy one diamond for $5,000, right? It depends on what the product is, not the quantity of product you're getting. And what costs a dolphin position today, or what people have at disposal for a dolphin position or a shark position today, or depending on who and what your finances are. With the revaluation of PulseChain, with the success of pTGC and UFO, the possibility of even getting those positions could become near impossible. Look at how governments and the largest companies in the world are striving and struggling to just get a shark or dolphin position of Bitcoin and Ethereum today. But a single user has the possibility to do that right now on PulseChain with pTGC and UFO.
Yeah, I think a dolphin position in pTGC, I think I posted it this morning. I want to say it's like $18,500 or something like that for a dolphin position.
Yeah, they're not cheap, right? Valuable things are not cheap. We know this. It's kind of this. I love this saying because I have to check myself on it sometimes. Sometimes I try to get the bargain on things, but the poor man pays twice. Sometimes it's better to just find the best product that exists and pay what that product is worth, because you have a product that will actually last. To where if you get like the cheap knockoffs or so on and so forth, they break, they die, and then you just have junk. You just have trash that you have to throw away. So
right. Yeah, I heard a good saying. You probably already know it. It's buy once, cry once. Like in where I heard it was in the context of buying a product. Like get the best, because if you buy less than the best, you might end up, crying that you bought the second best, and then you got to cry again when you got to buy another one. Just buy the good one the first time. And that's that dolphin position. Buy once, cry once, and enjoy the yield for as long as you hold it. Yeah, man. What else, man?
I did want to hop over to the reflections page. I haven't gotten a chance to kind of go over some fun APYs in a little bit.
Okay.
Looks like we have a question too.
Yeah. JD, there are two different numbers shown on DEX tools, circ supply and total supply. Which one reflects the actual current price? I mean, price and supply are they're two separate things.
Yeah, I think they're both working off of the right price. If you want to hop over there real quick, I can look at both those numbers. I think the total supply is what pTGC launched with, and the circulating supply is the total supply minus what's been bought and burnt. So that's all that's circulating in the system.
Okay. All right, I'm pulling up Dex tools.
That's technically what they mean. I just don't know if it's populating correct.
pTGC. Let's find the pTGC, the Grays currency. One of two. Okay, where's that supply? Over here on the left. They have Circ supply as 291.1 billion. There you have it, Xen.
Yeah, and then where's total supply? Oh yeah, so yeah, the total supply, if you see there, that's what the pTGC initially started with. So that was the starting quantity. But you have to realize every single day we're buying and burning our supply. So what the circulating supply is the total supply minus the quantity of tokens in the debt address. So that circulating supply will decrease every single day. This doesn't include, the amount of supply that's in holders' hands or stakers' hands or even locks, because technically that value is still circulating. It could always, come back if we go high enough and people want to take profits. This is what happens. But what they are removing is the debt address, because that debt address can never put the value back into the liquidity pools.
Yep. Those tokens are gone forever. I mean, they're in a place, but they're in a place where they cannot be ever accessed again. It's pretty incredible. To the chagrin of the naysayers, your crypto buddies that you're trying to bring over into crypto, they're like, well, what if it can be shut down? What if the government cracks down on crypto? Well, it already has. You can't, but thankfully we're on PulseChain with 30,000 validators all around the world. You'd have to round up all the validators, man, to shut the network down. What if the site goes down? You can connect your wallet directly to the contract by other means. And there's so many tens of thousands of people in crypto that if any particular DApp went down, like if our DApp went down, somebody like Crypto Kong would build one, and to make it easy for everybody to interact with the block.
Yeah, Kong has one.
Yeah, exactly. And if
Kong's already built one just in case.
Yeah, and you're building a second one.
Yeah, I'm building one as just a community member too, and we're going to keep the old site up, and then we'll have this other one that I'm also working on, and Kong has his, and I'm sure over time there'll be a lot more that pop up, especially as we get adoption.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that new site, man. Are you going to be able to like add things to it like after it comes out? Because there's always.
I don't want to add anything to it.
Oh, you
I'm
don't?
just trying to deliver a completely finished product and have it finished. Hopefully, I can go into it, but I like to kind of just make it 100% and then have it done, because when you're kind of going into stuff and adjusting things, that's usually when issues happen. So
yeah,
I think the safety of just getting it 100%, getting it audited, and then being done with it is the best way to go about it.
Yeah. That's how I am. I've been hosting Look Into, and I'm just like, I'm not touching it. Just letting it run. There might be a time to update it or touch it, but it's not yet. Okay, we're on the yield calculator, which is the reflections calculator for on Look Into.
Yeah. So just real quick before we kind of start plugging in some numbers, and we'll do a few simulations with the advanced settings, Banana. But one thing I kind of want to bring up is what pTGC is today and what UFO is today is not what it's going to be in the future, right? Like we are here on PulseChain in pTGC because we believe pTGC and UFO will be more successful than they are today over time. Obviously, they've been more successful than they were a year ago. They're more successful than they were 2 years ago. We believe over time they will continue to be more successful. We also believe PulseChain is going to be a very successful chain. And with those two things added together, pTGC and UFO can very easily become a premier store of value asset, could be a huge value generating asset, a huge APY asset. But what opportunity that we have today is to get into the asset before it revalues.
Right.
And the easiest example I can always think of is you can look at the largest companies and governments trying to build their Bitcoin or ETH reserves today, and they're having to pay premier prices, all-time high prices, but they're still willing to accumulate it because they understand mathematically and the liquidity is there. They understand the product and the asset now. Yep. They did not understand it 10 years ago. They didn't want to speculate on it. There is people who did speculate on it, who put very little or modest amounts of money in, just not compared to what these governments are today, and they got to reap the rewards of doing the X's, and now they're holding the premier stores of value. They did not have to chase the new premier store of value at the new price. They got to buy it for cheap and just ride it up. This is what the opportunity I think is for pTGC and UFO. You're able to buy the asset before it does all of the X's. And then at the end of it, what you're holding is a premier store of value that's hyper deflationary, that's better distributed, and has built-in APY. So I like to just play around with numbers. If you are someone who is a long-term thinker, someone who wants to be in a protocol long-term, if you put some value in today and the system grows, what could APYs look like in the future for you? What could the dollar amount yearly that you could make out of this protocol be without ever touching your initial? And what that means is your initial is technically constantly getting bigger because the supply is always decreasing. So you actually don't even need to buy more. You don't even need to save your APY. You could literally spend all your APY and your percentage of the supply is ever increasing as long as you don't touch your initial.
That was a good monologue, dude.
Thank you.
All right. Shall we do a calculation?
Yeah, let's play around with some numbers. So what we're playing with is the volume increasing over time. So what this is kind of showing is, hey, if you take advantage of the price of pTGC and UFO today, and then over time, these positions grow, they appreciate in price. Mechanically, they're designed to appreciate in price due to the math in the specific token, along with being bonded to assets that can appreciate in value. We believe volume is going to increase. What these volume daily numbers are going to increase to, we don't really know the exact numbers, but we can play with it. And then you can say, okay, well, I'm a dolphin or I'm a shark, and this is what it will pay me, right? And let's play with a few of those numbers. It looks like you're on $10 million right now in daily volume.
Yeah, that's the preset. I just leave it there because one reason for doing that, Xen, I keep my numbers very vanilla. That way people can, screenshot if they want to, and then they can backwards math for their own bags. It makes it simple.
Yeah, and keep in mind what we're on right now is pTGC, I believe. Is that right, Banana?
Yes.
So we're on pTGC. So what this is showing is just reflections. If you're someone who cares about APY and you plan on being in pTGC for a long time, not just a quick flip in a month, I suggest you look into staking it. You do earn 150% more APY for staking it. So when we go over these numbers, I am going to increase the numbers by 150% because I am kind of speaking to the long-term pTGC stakers here, not short-term flippers. Short-term flippers do not care about the APY, so there's no point in me kind of explaining that to them. So at $10 million, what we're receiving, and it's hard for me to see, Banana, what size position is this?
100 million tokens, so it'd be 3 dolphins.
3 dolphins. Okay. So if you're able to accumulate 3 dolphins, what's the yearly APY for just reflections?
17 million pTGC, $12,303. I guess the APY would be 17.45%.
Yeah. So that is just for holding. If you're staking, you're going to receive 150% more than that. So an additional additional $18,000. So what your total APY would be if you had these 3 dolphin positions?
28%. Because it's actually 161% more for staking.
No, it's not 28%. It's 150% more. So it's 17 plus 9 pretty much. So you're at 28 plus 17.
Okay. You're better at math, much better. So we'll go with
Because
that.
it's 150% more. It's not 50% more, right? So you have to double the number and then add the 50%.
Okay.
You getting me?
Nope. I'm probably not going to.
I know you're not, because I've technically corrected this a few times with our conversations now, so I can tell you're not getting it. I want you to get it. So let's dive into this a little bit, because I know you're really sharp, and if you're having a hard time understanding it, that most likely means a lot of the listeners are having a hard time understanding it as well.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're a holder, you are receiving a 17% APY. If you are a staker, you're earning 150% more than that. So the 100% is 17% APY, right? Because when you're a staker, you're automatically getting double, even if there is even amounts of stakers as holders. So 17 times 7 or plus 17.
I got it.
Yep. And then you're also getting an additional 50% because there's less stakers, right?
Yep.
So what you're at is, it was the 17 plus the 9, which is the 20, 26. 26 plus 17 is, what's that? 26 plus 17.
43.
So you're at 43% APY. If you're a staker of pTGC, and then what that would be as far as dollar value goes is 18 plus 12, which is 30. So you'd be making roughly $30,000 a year with that 100 million pTGC. Does that make sense?
How do you put that into the calc? How do you figure that on the calculator?
So for just holding, you're receiving
17.45%.
Yeah, let's start with just the dollar values, right? So you're receiving $12,000 a year if you are a holder, right?
Yep.
So you need 150% more than that. So 50% of 12,000, and you could just do times 0.15, right?
50% of 12,000 is 6,000.
Yes. So times 12,000 by 1.5.
Yeah. Which would be 18,000.
18,000. So now plus 8 or add 18,000 plus your whole, because 18,000 is your staking rewards. We just figured that out. We times 1.5 times the 12,000. So now you get to add them together, because when you're a staker, you don't only earn your staking rewards, you also still earn your holding rewards.
I think I'm getting it, dude.
Yeah. So you're not adding them together at the end. You're just adding that. You're just looking at that 150%. So now that you're like, okay, we know that we're making $18,000 for staking, but we didn't lose our holding rewards. So now we get to add our holding rewards by our staking rewards, and then what's the total there? So that's 12,000 plus 18,000, which puts us at 30,000.
Yep. Oh, can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, I could tell we've done that a few times, and I could tell it was like something was going on there. So I wanted you to really understand that, because it's really powerful. right? If you're a staker, you are really earning so much more APY, it can make a huge difference. It's the difference between a $12,000 passive income system to a $30,000 passive income system in this
Yeah.
in this example, right? If volume increases and we can increase the volume, or if you increase your supply. So if you go from $100 million or 100 million pTGC tokens, let's say you get yourself to 200 million, which again isn't cheap, right? That's completely understandable. But that would make it to where instead of earning $30,000 a year, you would be earning $60,000 a year. And again, you're earning that in a hyper deflationary asset while the asset you're earning it because you hold is also hyper deflationary. So you're not getting constantly diluted by the APY that's being paid out to everyone else, like most other APY systems.
Right. Case in point, the lady I referred to, we just got her like holding pTGC. And just a few weeks ago, I was like, you can stake these. She's like, just do it, whatever you want. And so I finally staked them because I'm really careful with other people's stuff, right? I didn't want to stake it. But she's like, so this is a few weeks ago. And then she's already earned almost as much yield for staking than she has for holding for like 4 months. Holding for 4 months, stake for about 6 weeks, and she's already almost even.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you said. What did you say? It's the exact number is more like 1.6% or multiplying with 160%.
Yep.
So it's pretty powerful. It's getting up there as far as very close to 200% more APY. Obviously falling a little bit short, but it's a huge increase to APY if you're an APY person. We have to obviously understand not everyone that gets into a crypto protocol is a long-term investor. Some people want to just hold an asset for a month, make a 2x and get out. Like we have to understand that there's a place for those people as well. When those people come and leave our system, which they will, they have to pay the fee and make the system stronger for the people who do actually want to stay in the system long term. And what we are right now, I do think we are attracting people who do want to do quick flips because we're still speculative. But that's what I mean by as we evolve into the future, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now, we will attract more of the long-term thinkers. Very similar that stocks attract very long-term thinkers because the appreciation isn't massive, but the risk isn't massive either, right? There's a lot of data to go off of. You can look very far back in charts. And this is what we want is as we involve very large players, I think will see pTGC on PulseChain and say, this is a great place to store value. Look at this 5 years of track history. Look at how the supply is distributed. Look at the APY that's being paid out. Look at the volume. Look at the value generation. Look at the buy and burns happening daily. I'm willing to store $1 million there, let's say, or $5 million. Well, guess what? When they come to pTGC to store $5 million, the first thing they have to do is come to PulseChain. So when they bring that $5 million to PulseChain, they're actually increasing the value of PulseChain in general. So pTGC is increasing from the value coming to PulseChain, and then it gets to multiply its value by that value trickling down into pTGC. So we actually get to double dip every bit of value that comes into PulseChain just for pTGC. We get the gains from it increasing PulseChain, and we get the gains from it going into the pTGC asset. And again, that goes back to what our friend was kind of saying, like, hey, do we think that the X's will diminish from here because we're now getting bigger? I think we're just getting started.
Whoa. Bro. Wow, dude. All right. I think we should end with this question. Unless you want to go on with, do you want to do a reflections on UFO?
Yeah, let's do it real quick. I am running out of time also, just because I've gotten like 7 calls while we've been on this.
Okay. With UFO, I've been doing instead of 100 million, 600 million, because you can get 6 times as much supply with UFO than you can with pTGC.
Cool.
And at $10 million in volume,
This one's a lot easier, guys, because there's no staking. So what this number is telling us is literally the number you receive. So you don't have to kind of play around with, hey, am I staking? Am I not? This is just holding.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
So
Let's see it.
103% APY.
That's awesome. Yeah, 103% APY just for holding the asset. So the UFO token is actually just printing you APY for just holding it. And that's coming out of a hyper deflationary supply. So how you're getting paid out isn't from inflation to the product like other APY systems out there. It's actually still hyper deflationary. It's paying you off of the value it's generating. And the value it's generating comes from all of the UFO LP providers. You do not have to be a UFO LP provider to reap the rewards from all of the people who are providing LP. You actually just got to buy the UFO token and hold up the price, and the system will pay you for helping the system. Very symbiotic.
Yep.
What's the dollar amount on that banana?
Yearly.
Yeah.
$23,548.
Cool.
Yeah, for holding 600 million UFO, and I'm not as polished on the positions for UFO. We could figure it out real quick, but that would sound
well. I can tell right off the bat that position would cost you roughly $23,000 because it's roughly 100% APY, and it's going to pay you $23,000 yearly. So for a $23,000 position in UFO, that's roughly the amount of tokens you'd get, and you would be earning roughly $23,000 a year in APY if the volume gets to those levels in the future. And that's possible because you're taking advantage of buying the asset at discounted prices before it revalues. That's how that's possible.
Okay, you're spot on. One last question. How does the available supply compare to other crypto? It varies so much. Everybody has their own starting supply.
Yeah, pTGC is very, very scarce compared to most assets because a lot of people have wanted the token and they hold the token, right? That's why our price has been able to go up. So pTGC is very, very scarce. There is not a lot out there for the rest of the world. The world doesn't even know PulseChain exists yet. So that's why I think this is going to equal a very, very valuable pTGC because there's just not a lot that the whole world can get. The only way that they can get it is either pushing up the price so high that it actually gets some of our existing holders to sell or just buying whatever's there at market. UFO, I think, has closer to like 15% of the supply on market because a lot of people buy UFO and then re-add the tokens back into liquidity, remaking those tokens purchasable. But pTGC, it's a single-sided staking model to where all of the UFO just remains in your wallet. No one can buy it from you unless you're willing to sell it. A lot of people are not willing to give up their UFO or their pTGC. So it's very scarce in compared to most tokens, especially due to the reason that the code is constantly buying up remaining supply daily if not users want to buy it with the code. If users do want to buy it with the code, it just makes it that much more scarce.
Yeah. All right. Xen, it has been a good stream.
Cool. Yep, I got a lot of phone calls to make, so I'm glad to shut it down.
Okay. Well, thanks for jumping on with us today, and we appreciate your time. We'll have spaces again on Saturday, 7 a.m. Pacific, and everybody go vote at pulsefolio.com. All right, guys. Have a good day. See y'all later. See you, Xen.
See you, Banana. Thanks for doing this with me. It was a lot more fun than the VC, so this was cool.
It was something different.
Yeah, I need something different once in a while.
Oh, me too, man. All right. We'll see you.